So before you can begin to implement this function right here, what you need to do is we need to set up communication with our Convex backend. Now, the way we do that is we jump into the Convex folder right here. Now, if you don't have this Convex folder, then it means you did not install Convex and you did not run pnpx convex dev, which is this second terminal that we have. Because when you do that, it creates this Convex folder for you. Now, inside this Convex folder, we're going to create a new file that is called events.js. Now, this is basically the same name as we're going to have in our database. So our database is going to have, our backend is going to have a database that is called events, which is going to contain all the events in our database. Now, the first thing that I want to do, or the first function I want to create inside here, is a function to get all the events that we have in our database. So I'm going to say export const get is equal to query, and this query is coming from what's it called, from Convex, but it's not giving me the option to auto import it. Okay, so let me just import it manually. So I'm going to say import query from /generated/server. So, and the query inside here is going to have some arguments, but this is going to be empty. And then it's going to have the handler function. So handler function, which is an asynchronous function that takes in the context. And then inside here, we're going to say return await context.db.query. So we are querying our database. This should say await. So await context.db.query, and you want to query a database that is called events, which is, it is empty because we don't have that database inside here. We don't have any table that is called events, right? So we're querying that, and then we want to order them. So order them in descending order, meaning order them by the last one that was added into the database, and then dot collect. So get all of them like so. And then when we save that, that is our query, our query function. And this, we're going to particularly use this when we are on the home page to get all the events. But the function that we are interested in right now is the create event function, which is going to use a mutation. So export const create event is equal to mutation, now no longer query, which is also coming from /_generated/server. Now inside the mutation, it's going to take in some arguments, and the arguments inside here are basically what they want to post into the database. In this case, we want the event name, which is going to be coming from v, which is convex values. So it is basically typing them. So it's going to be a type of string like so. And then the event date is also going to be v.string. And then we have the event description. So description, which is a type of v.string. And then we have event location, v.string. And then we have event organizer, which is v.string once again. And then once we do that, we need to pass in our handler function. And if you can hear some noise from outside, I do apologize. It is now 10 a.m. and the children are awake. So the async function inside here is going to take in the context as well as the arguments which we have just described above. And then this is going to be an arrow function. And we're going to say this const event. So basically creating a new event is equal to, and we're going to be creating an object. So basically tying them. And I'm going to say that the key of name is going to be equal to the arguments dot name. So basically what we have above. So let me just copy that down because it's going to be easier. So this is going to be the event date, and then double click and then Control D. This is going to be the description, and then double click Control D. This is going to be the location, and then finally the organizer, and then remove that last one. And then once we do that, we're going to say, oops, add the proper semicolon. So once we do that, we're going to say const new event. So the new event that we've created is equal to await context.db.insert. So add into the database, and the database is called events. And what we are adding is the event object that we've just created above. And then below this, we can simply say return await context.db.get new event. So basically return the new event like so. And then just because it's going to be easier, let's also create the delete function, because the delete function is very easy, and then that will be the end of this file so that you don't have to jump back and forth between files. So export const delete event, so that is the function name that I'm giving it, is going to be a mutation as well. And then I'm going to say the arguments here, we're going to be deleting them by the ID, which is v.id in the database that is called events. Now, when you create a new entry into your Convex database, it automatically assigns it a unique ID, which is unique across your entire project. So you don't have to worry about this. So once we do that, we need to pass in our handler, and then the handler is going to be an asynchronous function that takes in the context and the arguments, and it is an arrow function, and we're going to say await context.db.delete, and deleting the entry which has the similar arguments.id. Fantastic. Save that, and that is our delete function. So now all we need to do is jump back into our create event page and then implement this part much better. So in order to do that, we need to go ahead and use a hook which is called use mutation, which is coming from Convex. So I'm going to create a variable here called mutation, and I'm going to set it equal to use mutation, and you can see it's giving me the option to import it from Convex React. So I'm going to say enter. So import use mutation from Convex React. And then once we do that, we want to go ahead and pass in API, which is coming from /convex generated API. Okay, make sure that you import it from the correct path. And I just want to mention this, that if you're using the source folder, then the Convex folder is going to be located outside of the source folder. So you're not going to be able to use the @/ you're always going to use .. / and then so on and so forth. So make sure that you're targeting the correct file. So API, and the database that we have is events, and we want to call the create event function, which we have just created. Now inside our handle create event function, we're going to call the mutation, and the mutation is going to be an object. And basically, remember how we mapped the name here, right? So we're saying the name is going to be the name that we type in, and so on and so forth. Now in JavaScript, when you do this, you can simply eliminate the value here, because JavaScript is intelligent enough to understand that you are targeting the name. So you would have to do this: name is equal to name, and then date is going to be the date, and then the description is going to be the description, and then the location is going to be the location, and then the organizer is going to be the organizer. So basically you're saying that the name in the database is going to be coming from the name that you type in, the date, description. But as you can see, you don't really need to do all this. So what you can do is simply add multiple cursors here and then remove all that. You don't need to do all that at all. You can simply pass in the name, and it is intelligent enough to understand that you are mapping the database to what you have in your application. Now the date here is going to give us an issue, but let's let it give us that issue first of all, so that you understand what I'm talking about. Now once we create the new entry to the database, what we want to do is this: we want to show a toast notification that says new event has been created. Now the toast here is coming from Sona, so import it from component UI Sona. Did I import it? Okay, there we go. So import toast from Sona. But it's not going to work, because we need to go into our app layout, and then we need to add right on top of this, we can add a component that is called toaster, like so. So we need to add the toaster component, and then of course import it from components UI toaster, like so. Sona rather, not toaster. And then when you close it out, let's also add a description here. So description that says you have successfully created a new event. And then now once we do that, I want to go ahead and navigate back to the home page. So I'm going to say router dot push, and we want to navigate into the all events page, which is our home page in this case. Now router is coming from use router, which is coming from next navigation. So let's go ahead and get it. So const router is equal to use router from next navigation. Make sure that it is from next navigation, because use router is also a hook that exists in next router, but we're not using that. Okay, now let's see, anything else we need to do? We okay, we need to test out that the date is giving us an issue. So save that and then reload it to be on the safe side, and then let's see. So let's go ahead and try to create a new event. So test event, the date here, let's pick a date and let's paste in something. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Event location, Kenya, organizer, Kenya. Now when I create new event, it's going to give us an error. So it says the toast notification shows up that new event has been created, so that's okay, but it gives us an error because it says the date is not a supported convex type. So what we need to do right here is we need to format the date. We need to format the date into a form that convex is going to be able to read, which is basically the same format that we used in, where did we do it? I can't remember where we used the format, but we have used it before already because we installed date FNS. So just make sure that you import format. Oops. Just make sure that you import format. Where is it? From date FNS. Now, let me go ahead and refactor these inputs, or the inputs rather. So calendar icon, this, oh my god, so many. Use mutation, it's a hook, so you can come on top. This is convex, okay. So this is also a component, you can come here, separate that out, separate this out, this can come here, separate that out. Actually, these two are high level inputs, so they can come on top right there. Fantastic. Okay, not the best looking inputs, but you know, okay. So once we do that, then we should be able to now not get that error. So let's try it out once again. So create event. Oh, did you see that? When we created the new event, it took us back to the all events page. And now it is getting too loud to record. So it's getting too loud to record. I do apologize if you can hear a lot of noise from outside, but this is the only time that I have to record, so please bear with me. We're going to get better recording equipment. So event name, let's go ahead and test it out. Event date, paste that in, paste that in, paste that in, doesn't really matter. Create new event, and look at that. We now no longer have that error and new event has been created. So now what we need to do is work on our homepage to display our events. So let's go ahead and do that next.